Okay, so the next part of our Module 6 is about the economic welfare of national income. Okay, so here, before we discuss the relationship of economic welfare, that of the national income, we will first determine or define the term welfare. Okay, so when we say welfare, okay, so there is, or this is a state of the mind which reflects the human happiness and satisfaction. Okay, so in actuality, welfare is a happy state of human mind. Okay, so uh, one of the experts in economics regard individual welfare as the sum total of all satisfactions that is being experienced by an individual, and the social welfare, on the other hand, is the sum of the total of those individual welfares. Okay, so satisfaction and happiness, or happiness as a state of mind. Okay, so here he added that um, he divides the welfares into economic welfare and non-economic welfare. So here, when we say economic welfare, this is the part of the social welfare which can directly or indirectly be measured in terms of money. Okay, so but you have to remember that the satisfaction and happiness of a certain individual does not only um, constitute uh, satisfaction and happiness in terms of money. Okay, that is why we can consider that as non-economic welfare. But you have to remember, and please take note, that when we say economic welfare, this is part of the social welfare that normally is or can be directly or indirectly be measured in terms of money. Okay, so here, um, what is the relationship between economic welfare and the national income? So here, Pigo, okay, he establishes a close relationship between the economic welfare and the national income because both of them are measured in terms of money. Okay, if you could still remember in the first video that we had and under this module, um, national income is measured in terms of money, and economic welfare is also or can be directly or indirectly be measured in terms of money. So here, when national income increases, according to Pigo, when national income increases, the total welfare also increases and vice versa. So this is how he relates economic welfare with that of the national income. Okay, so here, the effect of national income on economic welfare can be studied in two ways. So we can study that by change in the size of the national income and by the change in the distribution of the national income. So here, under the size of the national income or change in the size of the national income, so uh, the change in the size of the national income may be positive or negative, right? So the positive change in the national income will increase its volume. As a result, the people will consume more of the goods and services, which will lead also to the increase in the economic welfare. Okay, so there is a direct relationship. Whereas the negative change in the national income will also reduce or will have the effect of reducing its volume. So therefore, its effect is the people will get lesser of the goods and services for their consumption, which leads to decrease in economic welfare. So, but this relationship, please take note, it will also depend on a number of factors and not just merely on the positive or negative changes. It may have other uh, causes as well, that we have to include. in the analysis. Okay, so under the change in the income, so here, these are the factors normally. There is change in prices. Okay, so is the change in national income real or monetary? If the change in national income is due to change in prices, so it will be difficult to measure the real change in the economic welfare. Okay, because here price are considered to be relative, meaning to say there are consumers who are able to uh, afford, whereas others cannot. So that's why it's relative, depending on the level of their income as well. Okay, so that's why in this case, it will be difficult to measure the real change if we will just base that solely on the change in the prices. Second, it in terms of working conditions. Okay, so working conditions also affects the welfare, okay, of an individual or the society. So here it depends on the manner in which the increase in national income comes about. So the economic welfare cannot be said to have increased if the increase in national income is due to the exploitation of labor. Okay, this because labor is just one aspect of the production. Okay, there are others who are or other inputs that are uh, or that has a great impact or effect on the product, the expenditure, or even the uh, income. Okay, in measuring the national income. Okay, so not just solely on the working conditions. However, it can affect, but we cannot totally say or absolutely tell how much. Okay, it has the effect on the change. Okay, the third is per capita income. So the national income cannot be a reliable index of economic welfare. So if per capita income is not kept in mind, it is possible that with the increase in national income, the population may increase also at the same pace, and thus the per capita income may not increase at all. Okay, so here, uh, this is actually one of the reasons why there are three different methods of measuring the national income, and we do not only rely based on the income. Okay, so we can also base on the product or expenditure. And in this case, therefore, the national income based on PGO cannot be a reliable index for measuring also the economic welfare. Okay, so that is their stand. Okay. So number four is method of spending. Okay, so the influence of increase in national income on economic welfare depends also on the method of the spending adopted by the people. So if the with the increase in income, people, okay, this is a normal notion. If there is an increase in income, then the people will spend on necessities and facilities, which will increase efficiency. So the economic welfare will also increase on their part. Okay, but again, um, this is just one aspect, also just like the others, okay, that we have discussed. Although we can say that it has really, okay, an effect, okay, on the economic welfare of the society or even the individual. Okay, so the next study is based on the changes in the distribution of the national income. So here there are two. Okay, so under this study. So number one, it can be through the transfer of wealth from poor to the rich. From poor to the rich. Wealth from poor to the rich. Okay, so when as a result of increase in the national income, the transfer of wealth takes place in the former manner. Okay, the economic welfare will decrease, of course, because basically in this math ways, I mean, it, conceptually, it's not number one. First of all, okay, we can consider this as impractical and unfair. Okay, because transferring of wealth from the poor to the rich is not uh, equitable. Okay, it's not fair. So if this is the case, then probably instead of increasing the welfare, the effect will be to decrease the economic welfare. Okay, so this happens when the government gives more privilege to the rich and they impose regressive taxes on the poor. When we say regressive taxes, meaning to say the tax rate will be based on the level of your income. The higher the income, the higher, or regressive, I mean, sorry. This means that the poor will have uh, higher or higher taxes. Okay, or it can also be a I mean this is something that is opposite, okay, on what we are actually expecting. Like progressive taxes means if you have higher income, you have higher taxes. Okay, if you have lower income, you have lower taxes. So therefore, when we say regressive, it's quite the opposite, which is unfair. Okay, again, the reason here is that they want to transfer the wealth from the poor to the rich, but in our country, this is not actually considered. Okay, so we are using the progressive taxes. The higher the income, the higher that taxes. Okay, that is what we are following. Okay, so that is in under this uh, way, under the change in the distribution of the national income. Okay, so the second is transfer of wealth from rich to the poor. Okay, so here the redistribution of wealth is in favor of the poor. So this is brought about by reducing the wealth of the rich and increasing the income of the poor. Okay, so how does it takes place? So here, the income of the richer sections can be reduced by adopting a number of measures. Number one, okay, we can use the progressive taxation, meaning to say the higher the income, the higher the tax. Okay, so another is aside from income, it can also be adopted in the property, uh, etc. It can also be by imposing checks on monopoly. Okay, when we say monopoly, meaning to say there is only one seller. Okay, so they enjoy the benefit of selling alone. Okay, for all the customers. So basically, they are considered to be rich. So here, we will be imposing, okay, stricter taxes or regulations. Okay, another is by nationalizing the social services, levying the duties on costly and foreign goods. I mean to say here, the prices will tend to go higher because there are imposed taxes and duties. Okay, so normally these costly and foreign goods are basically used by the rich, so they can afford to buy it at a higher prices. Okay. So, on the other hand, the income of the poor can also be raised. Okay, not only transferring the income of the rich to the poor, but also we can increase the income of the poor. Okay, so this is by number one, fixing a minimum wage rate, or increasing the production of goods that they use, or by fixing the prices of such goods that they consume or purchase. Okay. So it can also be by granting them financial assistance, okay, to the producers, by also the distributing the goods through cooperative stores, by proving free education, okay, social security and low rent accommodation to the poor. Okay, so this is how uh, we will increase, okay, the income of the poor. So when the distribution of income takes place in favor of the poor through those methods, the economic welfare will increase. Okay, so that is all for our um, module number 6.